Today's guest is the operational engine behind a 40-person creative agency across Brazil. She has seen every type of leadership style and agency structure.
We need to focus our energy and time doing the truly important things in our life. Doesn't matter if it's work or personal. It's about the essence.
But what makes this story interesting isn't just her operational expertise. It's how she translates a visionary founder's ideas into reality. And it's a multi-generational team where a 62 years old and a 27 years old are debating the right way to use AI.
I've seen people that are brilliant, but they don't know how to accept different ideas.
So in this episode, we'll talk about why being an excellent professional isn't enough if you lack people skills, how to hire for energy and connection, and what it really takes to be the integrator who keeps an entire agency running on time and on standard. Julia, welcome to Agency Culture Conversations.
Thank you very much for having me today.
Yeah, of course. Pleasure is all ours. Now, Julia, for everyone who's listening, would you mind give us a quick rundown on your career journey? Because I think you have a very interesting, I would say, like career path going on. So I would love to hear more about that and get the audience to get to know you a little bit better.
Well, I started early when I entered college. So it was in 1996. And I worked basically as an account executive. But as I am a very agitated person and I love learning, so I always did more than one role since an internship. So I always got involved with the creation part, with the, not exactly being a creative person, but just being interested in how what skills and what do you need to be a creative person. And then you learn that you don't need to be creative to really do nice things. And I have a huge passion for cinema. So I always got involved in this radio, TV, later on internet area. So I basically go running those departments. And at some points, I abandoned the agencies for a while and I entered on the video making productions places. And I've been going back and forward for the past 30 years.
That's awesome. I'm curious about that. Is the industry different from the agency world? I assume with the studio industry, people are still very high energy. So can you tell us a little bit more about how that difference than the agency world?
It's very different because when we are filmmaking or when we are shooting, actually I work with agencies most of the time, but it's different because every day or almost every day is a different situation. So in the agency, we have the variety of clients, but we have like some time with each one. And when you are shooting, it's like maybe in 1 week, you can have each day a different client and a different situation. So it's a fast pace, but in many ways, a lot similar when we are talking about in my position, the roles. So I was as well an account executive and I was the person who was behind the entire production. So delivering responsibilities and checking timing. And so in certain ways, very similar, but in other ways, like different because of the variety.
Yeah, I see why you are an operator as the agency now. It seems like you wear many hats in your previous role. So looking forward to kick off today's episode. And interestingly enough, I would love to start out the first question with your agency name. So for everybody who's listening, Julia's agency name is called, and please correct me if I'm wrong, but it's pronounced Lebbe, Lebbe. And there's a very interesting story behind that. Can you tell us a bit more about your agency name?
Yes, I can. So let's go from the very beginning. So we started in 2007. The CEO, Fernando, he was only 24 years old, and he decided founding an agency. He had this amazing, talented, prize-winning copywriter as a partner, and they went very well for about 8 to 9 years. But then we have this shift in the market, and digital became something very big. And his partner didn't keep up with the changes. So at some point, Fernando saw himself with a lot on his shoulders, and he started to worry a little bit because it was new responsibilities. So he read a book called Essentialism by Greg McCone. And in this book, we have Dieter Rams, which is a very well-known industrial designer who made Braun what Braun is today. And he created the concept of essentialism, which begins with less but better. Lebbe, less but better. That's where Fernando brought the name. So the basics are we are supposed to do only what is very important. And we need to focus our energy and time doing the truly important things in our lives. Doesn't matter if it's work or personal. It's about essence. So Fernando read the book. Of course, I'm simplifying a lot the book. It's a very interesting one. But Fernando read the book, made a lot of sense to him. He, right after reading, he ended up his marriage, and he bought out his partner and founded Lebbe. So it's a very strong book, very good. I strongly recommend it, but it's about that. So the name is very important because it's the essence of the agency. So everything that we do is based on less but better. So, and the Rams always, he highlights saying like, it's not about doing less as counting things. Oh, I'm just, no, it's focusing more so you can give your best to do what is important, because most of the time we catch ourselves doing things that are not really important. And in the end, when you add up the time you work, just like focusing on the non-important thing, you use most of your time for something that it's not worth it. So that's where less but better comes.
I love that. Lebbe, less but better. And I think you are correct as well. I think as a founder, one of the things that a lot of founders put a strict emphasis on is protecting their time, right? I think every single CEO, every founder is a visionary. We always get 10, 20 ideas every single day, and just to kind of choose what idea you want to work on is very important, right? So let me ask you this, following up to that question. How does that mindset actually influence the way that you guys build your team and the types of people you choose to bring into the agency?
Okay, so we have this relationship with protecting the culture. So when we hire, is not only to fill a gap or just to have more arms or more minds. We really need someone to join the team who is a team player. So it's very different this way to see things, because some people, they might just focus on the portfolio or the CV and say like, wow, this person is amazing. And with my own experience, I've seen people that are brilliant. They are the best prize winners, but they don't know how to play together. They don't know how to teach. They don't know how to accept different ideas. They have behavioral problems. So at this point, after 30 years in the market, I see, and the CEO sees as well, that if you are the best creator or whatever role you play, and you don't know how to deal with the rest of the team, it's very bad. Because first of all, people will be scared of you. They're not going to learn from you because probably they are going to be afraid of asking questions or showing you things because if you don't like it, it's going to be a bad situation. So at some point, I learned that skills everybody can learn. So, but the soft skills are more difficult to pass. Of course, if you really want, you change the way you deal with things. But when we are dealing with temperament or when we are dealing with someone that is very shy, but it's aggressive on a way to defend the position or something like that, the entire team goes in a bad path. So for us right now, it's we prefer keep less people, even if we need more because it's a lot of work to be done. But we prefer having less people but connected and everybody enjoying each other's help and learning from each other than hiring stars who you cannot even connect with because of their temperament or something, a behavioral problem. So, of course, the best deal is when you have someone that is very brilliant and a nice person to be with. But especially because we are working from different parts of Brazil, the entire team is in different areas, we need to feel connected and we need to feel comfortable and safe to bring problems or ask questions. And if you cannot do that, it doesn't matter if you are the best creator or the best executive, because the rest of the team is not going to share this great part of themselves. So that's what we think is the most different thing. And two, you can ask me like, oh, how you are going from an interview, how you are going to know if the person, and that's when we have another different thing from most places, which is, of course, depending on the role, is going to be different. But most of the time, we have this 3-month deal, which is like almost a freelancer. So if you are, I don't know, media, and you are coming, we are hiring, so we post it on, and then we receive the CVs, of course, like in other places. But the first thing, it's a call, just the first, let me know you a little bit more, right? Because for me especially, I think people tend to not be authentic during an interview because of shyness, because of getting nervous, or because they really need sometimes a job. It's not, and they need the money sometimes, and so they tend. I'm not saying people lie, but I'm saying they tend not to show the truly person they are. So we have this first thing, and then we shift from different people interviewing. So we have, if the person is coming to be an account executive, it's going to talk to Fernando, it's going to talk to me, but it's going to talk to the creative director as well. And you say like, well, but it's not going to be a creative person. Doesn't matter. We need to understand how, and then very different questions are going to be made just to see how the person deals basically with other people, okay? But depending on the area, we have another steps. If it's a creative person, the creative director is going to give them an assignment, and they are going to do it together with the director. So he's going to tell, he's a very lovely person and very spiritual. So he's going to see things that maybe most people would never look at. And he, of course, he's going to test things like creating a little bit of hard situation, bringing, so just to check how the response is going to be, if it bring different situations, but not an extreme, of course, but just to see how the other one is going to respond to that. And after that, true jobs are going to be given to the person, and we are going to observe for this. The top is 3 months. Sometimes it happens before, but normally the first 3 months we are testing and put in different situations to see how it goes. Because for us, it's very important to protect the team, because it's very difficult to get at the point that people trust each other and they can rely on, oh, I need your help here, give me your point of view or something like that. And when you bring someone totally different or someone that we don't really know their intentions or whatever they are going to do in different stress situation, for example, we are very scared that one person can make the entire system just shake. So we get this protect, and we always tell the team, like, oh, we are bringing this person. Everybody needs to analyze, give the highlights so we can, and we have this, every Monday we have this meeting, and we bring things like this to be like, oh, and then we talk separately, like one-on-ones. So how do, especially the ones that are going to interact directly with them, the new ones. So we have this going back and forward just to see how safe it is to bring. Of course, once in a while, it's going to be, we think about something, then it's going to be different. But most of the time, it's good. It's a good experience.
Yeah. And I totally agree with you. And I actually do want to highlight that importance as well, because I also noticed that is the pattern, the 3 month mark. That is when a team member's true colors start to show. When someone first joined a company, maybe they are excited, they want to roll, they maybe need the job, they need the money. But the 3 months mark is when you actually start seeing somebody's like true color, right? But I actually want to deep dive into that, specifically in your interview process. So I'm curious, do you have any interview questions or interview tips that you could give us to really spot out some of that bad behaviors right on day one? Anything that you guys are doing differently at the company?
Yeah, I'll tell you about my approach, because sometimes it's just me and them, just not, sometimes we do like 3 or 4 together, but sometimes I deal in a very different way. So for example, if it's a girl, I'm going to ask questions that is nothing related to the job. It's just like, oh, are you married? Do you have to, because sometimes some tips are raised there. For example, oh, I'm a single mother. My baby's 11 months. Oh, but you live with your parents? You know, questions that are not about your skills and they are not about the job, your role with us, but is to understand your life. Because sometimes we had someone very shortly that she was a single mother and she had like 2 babies. One was 1.5 years old and the other one was 9 months. So it was just like, and she had no help. So I was like, how? And she was a designer. So I was like, when one of them gets sick or when they are, how is she going? It's not about like not giving the opportunity for, on the contrary, it's just like, I raised questions about like, wow, I am a mother too. Cannot imagine. I had just one, but I cannot imagine. So I raised this because it's a true concern, because I don't know, imagine we are in a huge campaign. This person has a big responsibility, but then a baby gets sick. Am I going to ask her, ignore your baby? Your job is more, I cannot do it. So I need to understand and to learn from the person how does, because when we are chatting is different from when you are interviewing someone asking job-related questions. So when we are just chatting, mother to mother, women to women, it's just like, you know what I mean? Like, how do you do that? How do you deal with, how is your day? How do you share the responsibilities? And sometimes we learn that the babies are okay, she doesn't. And sometimes they go like, okay, we thought for this situation, but we are going, it's a very nice person, the portfolio is amazing, let's check. But then we shift from one position to another, because at some point, something is going to go bad. So I normally, I tend to go through the CV very quick, just like things that interested me reading, and I ignore the rest of it. Just so the person won't think that I'm completely crazy, because like, why are you asking me about my baby? You know what I mean? So I just go, I start with the job role, but then I go to very personal things like, what do you like doing? How, the person says it's single, like, oh, you party a lot. Things like that gives me the tip, just like to know who I'm dealing with. So this kind of person is that agitator, like me. In 2 seconds, you know that I speak fast, that I'm agitated. Some people, they are very calm but depending on the subject, they change the way they position themselves, right? If they get excited, if they like what you're talking about. So I like going through that to try to extract a little bit deeper the essence of the person. Like, oh, because sometimes it's the very, very, very higher tip of what? This person is essentially creative, but she's acting like she's applying to be an account executive. Why? And we had this person at Lab last year. So just like, and then I write down, because I'm an old person, I love writing, I need to write. So I write down things that caught my attention, and and I give all the information to the next person, because not always I am the first one. Most of the time I am the middle one. And I give all the information to the other people that are going to talk to interview as well, to see what are their impressions, because probably they are not going to ask anything like I did. So I really like going to this very different path, because I think character, values, things like that, they are much easier to catch when you are talking informally and when you are not talking about job. That's the way I approach. And I think the results are very consistent from what you could catch in the first conversation. So I really like abandoning the job, the role situation, and going through and to another thing that is very common to appear, just like when someone really needs the job because of money. I'm not saying they don't, but the main point is money, because, I've been out of the market for 3 years. And it raises some other questions, just like, because sometimes this kind of person can have the common profile of, if someone else offers more money, this person is going to abandon us and go to. So some things that I like to put together and see, especially when you have more candidates and you are, I really like this one, and then we raise the red flags and we highlight the good things, and then we make a safer decision, can I say?
Yeah, I like that a lot. And I think you brought up a very good point as well. Life is always more important than work. But if somebody who, let's say, is not taking the accountability in their life, who's not taking the ownership, who's not responsible for their life, it's almost like a guarantee they won't do that to the work, right?
Exactly.
Now, on the flip side of that, I think earlier in the conversation, you mentioned something that is very interesting about your founder, who in the earlier stage where the agency outgrew the other co-founder. So I'm sure that happened all the time. Company grow, someone else are being outgrew from the company. So when that happened, what would you do? Would you try to find an open role within the organization for them? Or is there anything that you do to decide whether or not it's finally time to let somebody go?
Yeah, most of the time I try. In that case, it's very specific, because he was the partner and they create how can I put this? The
The
idea of
company.
an agency together. So it's different from when you hire someone and this person is not really performing, and it's a different situation. So in that case, I don't even know in person the ex-partner, But I think in that situation is so specific that I don't think it was anyone in the old agency that could fill the gap at the point. And that's why I think he decided to start from zero. But in our situation today, and from everything that I learned in different positions, very different agencies and places that I've worked, what I learned is a lot of people, they are very good in certain things that can be placed in different roles. And some people, they are in a role that they are not the best because they are in a wrong place. You know what I mean? It's just like, if the person has our values, which is character, be hardworking, willing to learn, willing to share, dedicated, these are the most important values that I think anyone in any industry need to have. If you are willing to learn, if you are willing to dedicate yourself to do your best every day, what else? The other skills, we pay. You can go study. We can, you know what I mean? Like the other thing, because the most difficult is this. Like, okay, so what happens if another agency comes here today and offers you more money? Are you going to leave us because the only value you have is I want to raise, or I want to earn more? You know what I mean? So for me, if the person is not performed, doesn't matter how long the person has been in the company, but it had like she or he show me they want to be part, they want to be there, they want to grow together. I try to. Sometimes it's very easy to spot, just like this. Like I said, we had this account executive. She was always a creative person. Actually, she started when she was an intern as a creative copywriter. And then she started like enjoying designing, being, doing her drafts and a little things, but always in a role that it was account executive. And then I asked her, like, why? Because it was interesting, because when she was presenting something to clients, she would defend like a creative person. So it was very good. But I was like, why? You know, why do you want to be an account executive if you have like all this passion for the creative area? So in this case, I was like, you are in the wrong place. You're going to be much happier, because she lacked some skills to be an account executive, like being organized, knowing all the details about, you know, because her way to think, it was as a creative person. She shipped. She's not with us anymore, but she's alive, but she's not at the agency. But she was like, oh my God, I never thought of, it's been like, I don't know, 7 years. So I never thought like, oh, going back to when I was an intern. When we see, and sometimes maybe we are going to need to try different positions. We think about this one first, and it's not going very well. But sometimes, as I've seen, not at Lebbe, but in different agencies, even the person shines. Do you know what I mean? Like, that's it. That's what I love doing. That's why, I don't know why I decided going to, and then my answer to that is just like perfect, because now you know different areas, and you can be more like, you can play well, understanding the role of the other one, because sometimes it's very difficult to say like, oh, you didn't write a great briefing. And then when you are in the other shoes, you know, like, okay, I understand. Like sometimes we don't have everything that we need to put a good briefing together. But then when you especially when you show a position and the person goes there and finds themselves, it's amazing. Just like, because for everybody, the agency gains because the person is going to do a great job, and the person is going to feel so happy and so satisfied, accomplished, that it's a win-win. So I think it's of course some situations you cannot try just to relocate, because sometimes it's not about, oh, the person doesn't even want to be relocated. Just like, oh, you're not good in here, and then the person's not open, so you cannot help. But if the person is open and likes being with us, we are going to try every position until we find a place that will work.
Yeah, I do think a lot of people just have a difficult seeing what they are good and what they are not good at. I think when you're in the trenches every single day trying to focus on your role, it's difficult to see what you are good at. And when you see it from an outside perspective, from someone else, you can clearly see what is somebody's good at and what is something they are not good at. And I think that goes sideways with the founder as well. Right? So I think a founder is very good at having visions, having maybe 10, 20, even 50 different ideas every single day. But a lot of founders actually is not good at taking that idea and explaining that, telling the whole team that is their vision. And this is where you comes in. You are the integrator. You are the one who's explaining the vision of the founder to the team. So let me ask you this. What are some of the things that you do as an operational director to take that high-level vision of a founders and turn that into clear instructions and communicate that to the team?
First of all, it's all about process. But before process, I would come with making sure everybody understood. Because especially like our CEO, it's like me. He's fast-paced, he's agitated, and he is very smart. So sometimes he says something that obviously for him, it's very simple and very clear. And sometimes, especially when I'm not totally involved in a situation, he asked directly. He used to jump a few steps from the process, just like, oh, because you were in a meeting, all right, I went. And it was, in his mind was like, so simple, very clear. Why did I get something completely different? And that's where the obvious needs to be clarified, because the backgrounds are different. The ways of thinking are completely different. So sometimes we think we were clear and simple, but the way the other understood is completely different. So if you don't verify and say like, okay, we need to do this, and then you do like a short, like 5 minutes meeting, just to make sure, because it's not one person. Normally, we have 5 involved, minimum 2. If we are creating something, the copywriter and the designer, minimum 2. So let's make sure everyone is on the same page. So it's very common that people assume that there's no way to misunderstand that. There is always a way to misunderstand that. And one person misunderstanding, convincing the other one who understood correctly that no, it wasn't what he said. You know what I mean? So it's just like, if you don't have someone like me to be this translator in between, the bridge in between, like, okay, he said that, and especially, to be very honest, when I go to translate and 2 people, they have a very different version of what I understood, I go back and I say, like, hold up, did I understood wrong or they understood wrong? Because it's completely different. And then he will clarify. So, and it's not only that the CEO example is perfect, but it happens every day with our clients. You know what I mean? It's just like, who is asking something is the person who knows the business, who knows everything, but doesn't know about marketing. And sometimes they assume that because they are clients, we know everything they know. And that's not the situation. So being the one who makes sure that everyone is aligned and everyone really understood, because sometimes depending on how many jobs we need to deliver, we hush things just like let's do it. And we have this joke that it's not a bakery. It's not bread. We are not putting like 100 together and they will come out at the same time. No. So it's just like, we need to make sure, because when this mistake happens, it's a lot of time that we just misused in a bad way, because sometimes you just use the time you had to deliver, and now you are going to not deliver something else. Or if you were presenting options, you're not anymore because you don't have time anymore. So it's just like, it's very important. And this clearance, it's in my process is the number 0. Because after that, we enter the entire thing, the checking, checkpoints and the timing, the responsibilities, because there's another thing. The role demands different things, but when we are putting 2 people together to divide the responsibility, sometimes it's not really clear who is responsible to deliver what. And sometimes we have to, okay, it's both of you. It's not you, it's not you. You guys have to find together the central idea, for example. And that's the very beginning of the process. It coming from the CEO or the client, we need to verify step by step if people are really aligned with what they need to do. And that's from there, we start the entire process.
Yeah. I'm actually very curious about that. Do you have like a specific stories or example? Maybe it's like something new that you guys are doing in terms of AIs or innovations, or even like a change in the way that you guys operate in general. Can you give us maybe like a specific story on something like that came from the founders? And your role is basically translate that to the team and making sure they really understand and walk us through that process as well, if you don't mind, because I'm very intrigued and interested on what you do at the agency.
Yeah. So, sometimes, for example, we had this animation about the agency. Lebbe is one of our clients. Okay, so we have this 3 people. Then everything that we are doing for the agency, they are responsible for doing. And the CEO asked us. He had an idea with the creative director, and he decided that he wanted to do an animation. So to present in a very funny way, not funny, in a very different.
Attention grabbing. Yeah.
Very, just if I use funny, you can see, some people can think, I'll show you later what it is, but it's just like in a different way, and in a lighter way, what the essence of the agency is. So they had the idea, so we put together like a writer, art director, editor, and an animation girl, and we start the entire process. So the first meeting, I wasn't part of it. So it was only the creative director with the rest of the crew and the I think who wasn't I think it was the motion graphic girl. She wasn't present, but it was the next step, so it was okay. But then they start. It was like writing the script, and right after, when approved, it would be like the shooting board. Okay, not shooting because it would be okay, but just like the visuals. And then at some point, the CEO sends me a message say like, I received something that I had no idea why is the way it is. And then I was like, hold on a second, I wasn't present. So I went to talk to everybody who were there to understand why he was telling me that it was completely wrong. And the point was like, the step that we were doing wasn't in the direction he wanted. And then the style. So he gave us 2 or 3 movies that had like some motions on it. So the people involved could understand the style he wanted. So we changed.
I see.
We restart the process, and he approved the copy, like the script, and then we restart. But then it was because, of course, we are a client as well, but we are not going to stop delivering to the other clients to do something for ourselves. It was something that we created, not with emergency. So it was. We had already like 2 weeks doing this part that was completely wrong in his perspective because the style was nothing related to what he thought. but he didn't give any example. He just verbalized. Oh, and he verbalized like this. Oh, you know Pixar? When they have the lamp and jumping, that's it. But then from the, okay, it's very simple and it's just a lamp, just jumping. But you have a lot of different references. You can just imagine that the references is the style of the lamp or the color of, you know what I mean? So that was the misunderstanding because he was just saying about the simplicity, the essence of elements. He wasn't talking about the style of the lamp or the how dark or how light was the background. So it's a silly example of we just expanded the gap that we had in between one delivery and another from the clients to do something that it was put in a bin because we could not all say, okay, I'm just going to say, no, nothing could be saved because it was completely wrong. And the script was approved and the meeting was done. So after that, I was like, okay, so next time, let's ask to clarify, because the thing was like, oh, is the CEO given a visual? He presented the Pixar lamp so that's what I want. And I was like, but anyone asked, like, you're talking about these or that? Did you check? No, because, and we have 4 people. Each one, when I talked to them, each one of them visualized a different thing. And they did without checking with each one did that part very well done, wrong, because it was nobody checked what reference was that. So it's a simple example that happened, especially when it comes from our CEO, that you can just like lose a lot of time because you didn't clarify what it was, the reference, or what it was, or if it was okay the way you understood. So it's something that happens a lot. But normally, it was correct right away. So the next week, they restarted. And then, differently from learning from the mistake, the first, the art director, the first thing he imagined, he drew a lot and then presented to him, say like, is that what you're thinking? Because we were talking about the little dot that comes after the name Lebbe. There's a dot. That's what you're meaning. Like you have the name and we are going to play with the dot. And then he said, yes, exactly. The dot is the main character of our animation. So, and then it became the right path. But see how silly it is. It's just like from a little tiny thing that you don't clarify, you create something that is nothing what it was in someone else's mind. So it's just, it happens recently, like 2 months ago.
Yeah, yeah. And you know what? I think the takeaway from that is there's always need to have some sort of a quality assurance process, a check-in process to make sure that the vision is being communicated correctly. And I think, to be fair, that's what I meant earlier when founders usually have a lot of ideas, but it's very difficult for them to communicate that idea to the team. So I guess like in terms of mistakes of the founder usually make, right? You've been in the industry for almost like 30 years now. And a lot of the time founders might get frustrated because the team is not delivering exactly what they want. So where do you typically see when the communication usually break down? Like where's the gap that you typically see when the founder is trying to explain something to the team? And what are some of the mistakes that the founder usually make when they're trying to communicate the ideas?
I think is this assuming that having a short sentence or trying to put in simple words, people get right away without checking or without, I'm a visual person. So I need examples. I need to see, and I always bring this to our briefings or brainstorm. And it's like, oh, someone explained the idea. I was like, oh, give me one reference. Show me something. It can be a picture. It can be an animation. It can be a video, whatever. I need to see to make sure that we are talking about the same thing. Because when you are describing, just like when you're reading a book, we can read the same book. I visualize something. We are reading the same exact words. I visualize something in my mind, and you visualize something probably very different. And then you say, but if we put in the words, we are going to say the same thing. You know what I mean? So it's just like, for me, the first clarification is just like, let me show you something, and you tell me if it's what you're thinking. Because when we are, especially because we are, of course, we do meetings every day with open cameras and things, but plenty times we are just exchanging voice messages, text messages, and sometimes it's enough. But if you don't clarify, and that's why I always ask, like, show me what you're thinking. And then when it just comes with words, I say, like, send me a visual. I need to, because I understood mostly from the clients. Sometimes we get, and the same thing happens with the CEO, we get a dense briefing, a lot of details, and then you give to the creators to create. And they, based on whatever they read, they create something. And then when you present, the person looks at you and says, like, no. There's nothing like that. And then if you go checking item by item, just like, oh, this is here, everything is there. That's why I give the example of the book. And then you say, like, I don't. And then they show you a reference. They go, I'm talking about this. And you go like, oh, and never trust anyone's mind because they just found a path and they follow it. So for me, this kind, when we have something in our mind, can be your CEO, especially the CEOs, because they have a lot of things to take care. They have a lot of problems. And I say our CEO is a problem solver machine. So he sees the problem, he gives you right away, like, oh, the client, do this. But the distance in between the problem and doing this is the way to solve the problem. That's when I come in with the team, because it's just like, okay, you gave me the problem and the solution. How do I get to the solution? And that's the thing. In his mind, he's very clear. He sees the problem solved. But the team looks at me and says, like, okay, how we are going to accomplish this? And that's the same thing when you have a extensive briefing with a whole bunch of details. But you understand word by word, and when you the faces, when you present and the client goes like, especially when the person hates it, it's just like, how's that possible? Because it's like, you know what I mean? 5, 7 people sometimes say like, how is that? And then we read again, and don't even bother. Just next time, bring the reference. It's like, oh, she likes this, because sometimes even to put in words is different. It's just like the person writes something because she has in the mind, so she is visualizing their mind and putting in the words, just like the book. And then the result is like, it's completely different from the image built in the brain. So it's just like, even if it's a good idea, the reaction is the worst possible, because it's just like, no, not even close. And then the person with the image in their brain is going to try to find something similar. And then our job becomes, the problem is solved, because now okay, and then we are done. But in between this is what happens with most CEOs and directors and things, when things are just in their mind and other people don't think about question we're asking for. Vivid reference, in my case, is very vivid, because then it's easier to translate. Oh, I understood. And sometimes they will say, oh, we cannot do that. We don't have time, or we don't have sources to do that. We need to simplify, or I'm going to present you what we can do. Things like that happen often. And then, or when they have the reference and they say like, Fernando has the best reference. And they say like, you have an idea how long it took to a team with 50 people to produce this animation? It's like a Pixar animation. We cannot do that. here in 2 or 3 days. So it happens a lot. And I think it's just about either having this bridge who I am right now to connect the points and say like, okay, to get here, we need to understand here, or the team, because some agents don't have operational. So just like the team going straight to the CEO or whoever is demanding and say like, we cannot deliver this project. So it seems simple, but it's a long way to get there. But we are.
Yeah, you know what? I want to challenge you for another thing that you mentioned as well. And the question I'm going to ask you next is, do you think a founder should keep it simple, keep it straight, or should they over-explain their vision or idea? Right? I might want to challenge you because as a founder, as a CEO myself, I try to keep things simple. I try to communicate to the team. The terminology I like to use is under a 6th grade reading level, right? But do you think that perhaps not the best way to go about it? So I think like that's something I want to get across. Should a founder try to keep things simple when they communicate the idea, or should they over explain things and maybe go in circle like I usually do? Which one do you think is a better way to go about it?
I think the role of a CEO is very important. CEOs cannot lose time going in circles and giving details. That the other person who is involved, if their job is to ask questions and verify and clarify. For me, the CEO needs to be simple, giving the idea or demanding whatever it needs to be done. And because they don't have time, you don't have time. You need to take care. You need to think about many things at once. So you explain, of course, you need to be simple. You cannot demand like 10 things at once because they are not going to be done. But being simple, the other what is going to deliver needs to clarify or needs to, give you options or say, I cannot do that during this short period of time, or I need more. Whatever it is, I need you to give me access to I don't know, the person who is going to execute and needs to either bring the problems or give you options to get to the result. So I cannot imagine, for example, and I know you guys sometimes do, when people complain and things, we try to be more professional and just like, I'm going to draw here. Fernando does that sometimes, but I always tell him, don't do it. Because people cannot expect you in your position to do that. You know what I mean? Because when you guys are nice people, I'm saying not that CEOs are not nice people, but I'm saying like some CEOs, they are very nice, they're outgoing, they are easygoing. And sometimes it's a mistake, because if you do it once, the team will expect you to do every time you ask something. And it's not supposed to happen. My position and other leader positions are for that. I give you the idea how you can bring back to me if you cannot do it, and you present me the reasons, or if you need more time or more money, whatever. But you cannot expect me to go to your level, leaderships and areas, and detail, I expect you to do this, because the client is not going to do that as well. So it's just like owners, CEOs, board, they are not supposed to go into detail. They don't have time for it, and they are not supposed to. The other leaders or the team needs to go back and clarify and negotiate if negotiation needs to be done. That's it. Clear.
I love that. And actually, I want to transition into one of the last topic for today's conversation, and it's AI.
Okay.
And it's a hot topic nowadays. Everybody's talking about it. I'm using Claude almost every single day. So being in an agency where you have a 60-something years old creative director and a 20-something years old campaign manager, how do you see different generations are using AI right now?
They do it completely different. What I see right now is like the younger generation, especially under 30, they tend to use AI to do that, not because they are lazy, that's not that, but they try to transfer the responsibility of what needs to be done to the AI. So they sometimes they misunderstand, like, oh, if I give the prompt, if I set up exactly what I need to be done and give my job, it's like telling the AI what it needs to be done. And that's the base of the big mistake I think younger people are doing. Because one thing is like, oh, I am a creative person. I need to create a piece, I don't know, a magazine advertising. And so I need to create the concept, the main idea. And then I describe, oh, it's a picture of a couple. It's, I don't know, Valentine's Day. And then I ask AI to generate something, to envision everything that I put there. That's one situation. Another situation is like prompt. Create an ad for a magazine, 2 inches by whatever, with a couple, a blonde girl with, you are asking them to think for you. That's completely different. One thing is like, oh, I have the main idea. Let's see how it's going to be presented by an AI, but you have something in your mind. And there, I think, when we are talking to people, like I'm 49, when you are talking to people over 40, till like our creative directors, they will never give the prompt before they have something. They are going to do their job, and then they're going to say, like, okay, let's see. And even it's like a challenge, okay? Most of the time, that see if AI is going to do a better job than I do. And then, of course, they can bring everything to the table. But the point is just like, we don't use AI to create something out of nothing. We have something, and then we try to get it better or get options. And I don't think younger people are wrong. I'm just afraid of, oh, see, if I am very smart and create prompts, I can deliver, like, instead of 2-3 reps per day, I can deliver 50. I can do even freelancer if I want, because it is a very thin line and very dangerous, because it's amazing. AI is amazing. I wanted to change the color of my room. I took a picture. I was like, see, it's amazing, because the color I thought would be the worst. The ones I didn't even think they were the best. So when you start, it's something, it's vicious. It's just like, it's addictive. It's just like, oh, okay. And then you go, let's see how would be Julia with bangs? How would be Julia like for everything? And then, but the point is just like, when it's a hobby, okay, play around, play your games, get tips to eat, whatever you want. But when we are talking about, especially when we are talking about our clients, they have access to AI too. They are not silly people. They know what AI can do, for good or for bad. I have an example for you. We present a quotation to do a short film only with AI to a pharmacy, natural pharmacy, and they thought it was too expensive. So they told the last year, Christmas, and they told us, no, you know what? We have here a freelancer. He charged like pennies. We are going to do it with him, okay? Okay, not a problem. What happened? In January, they come to us, presented. He's like, we cannot post this. It's horrible. Now we want you to do it. So for the good and for the bad, it happens because a lot of people are just learning. It's new. It's something that just happened. So it's just like, smart people are going to navigate, and it's just like when internet appeared. It's a second internet. It's a smart internet. So of course we need to learn. We need to use it. Of course, just like when the digital started. If you don't learn, if you don't become an expert, you are going to disappear. You're not going to be in the market in, I don't know, maybe 2 years. But the point is, the AI so far does not substitute like what it create with our brain as humans, because the feeling, the experience, of course AI, if you put in words, AI can imitate, but it's very different when you feel so, when you watch something and you cry, you are very happy, but you cry because you empathize and you go like, oh my God, you know it's fake, you know it's a movie, but you cry because we know how to connect with others, right? So the importance for me in advertising at the very moment and next couple of years is just like nothing substitutes the way humans think and act on it. So it's like they can imitate, of course they can, but that's when we see things in like, we don't do that. We don't react to a situation like this way because they are machines. They are, it's something that uses everything that is online and try to put together, but they don't have feelings. And feeling, it's what moves advertisement market. Why we sell? Because you make someone happy or sad, or because you show that you are going to solve a problem. Something. So it's all emotions first. The essence of advertising something, it's when you find a good advertising, it's what? You find the emotion you need to make that sell. That's it. Doesn't matter which kind of emotion we are talking about. But so far, the AI, it's not going to experience, to feel what we feel, to just like manipulate the symbols, the colors, the way the actor is supposed to be accent, to make others feel empathy or happiness or sadness, whatever. So I think that the problem here is just like, it's too easy. Anyone, like my mother's 82. If she decides she wants to use AI, she will. She's a surgeon. She's brilliant. But the same way Marcos, our art director, or our creative director, sorry, it's never going to say like, I'm going to give a prompt. Never. He will write everything down and then he will be more as a curiosity and see like, let's see. He goes like, see how the thing is going to pop up. Then just like transferring your job, not in a bad way, not as a something wrong, but it's just like, I think when you are very young and you are open to different experience, this excitement maybe confuse you to, oh, you cannot transfer. It's just like asking your friend to do your homework. You cannot transfer your responsibility. You can ask for help. Explain to me, I didn't understand. But you cannot ask him to do for you. And that's what I think is the mistake. Younger people are asking the AI to do their jobs. And then at some point, you don't learn anymore because you are not studying, you're just watching. You're not studying how you know what I mean? You're just delivering. And then at some point, I think can be a big problem to everybody.
Yeah. And honestly, I totally agree with you. And I think it's such a very interesting age where usually younger generations are more adaptive to new technology. But I think we're seeing actually the older generations are teaching the younger how to use AI. And I'm going to be completely honest with you. I think it comes down to one thing, which is delegation. I think older generation has more experience in delegating tasks to someone else. And I think that's what AI is, right? I like to think of AI as we're bringing on a new employees that can take care of some other stuff for you, an executive assistant, right? So when you bring on someone new, so you have to give a task, you have to give instruction, and this is literally what we've been talking about through the whole conversation. Ask us question back, ask us clarifying questions, right? Older generations are a bit more patient, teaching the AI to get to the right thing. We're younger generation. I don't want to use the term lazy, but I think you hit the right spot. Just do this for me and expect it to be done, right? So how would you go about showing the younger generation or even teaching the younger generation to use AI, especially those who doesn't have any leadership or delegation or even the communication skills like the older generation has?
Yeah, that's a tricky, very tricky situation because my son, for example, is 19. Okay. So at some point, I caught him talking to ChatGPT, just like asking advice. I was like, and for older generation like mine, we were raised without internet. So if you need to learn something, you need to go. That's why it's so easier to talk, to explain, because we need to go to, to the books and read. Well, if you need to go to a place, you didn't have ways. We didn't have, you need to open a map, a paper, big paper, and try to see where you were. You know what I mean? So the way our brain was set, it's completely different. It's very common when we have a young kid saying like, why do I need to learn trigonometry? I'm not going to be an architect. And then it's like, they miss the point. It's not about using it's what how you wire your neurons and how you're going to use that, not for engineering or architectural thing. So it's this connection that you learn only if you're doing this math, whatever, helps you when you are thinking about something that is completely different. It's about art. But that's the point that I think, that's why I say it's tricky, because in my world growing up, everything needs to be, if you're lost, you need to stop your car, open the window or walk out and say like, excuse me, I'm supposed to go to Salem and I'm in Boston. How do I get there? You have to stop and talk to exchange it. Some people, very nice, would draw a little thing board. After 4 blocks, so the way we understand and validation was part of our entire day. You wake up, your mom asks you something and you go like, and then you do something wrong and your mom goes like, you're not, explaining and being explained was part of our daily basis. Today, you don't need to ask anyone anything. You ask Google. You ask ChatGPT. You go to any AI, or even before AI, you go YouTubing. And now, how do I put this together? You have someone else to put this together. So you don't have this human interaction. That's why we have a lot of people, they freak out if the phone rings. They are in panic because I had to talk to some, not a video call. Just like, you know what? We didn't see each other. I was talking to a person I would never imagine the face. I would never meet. And we had to talk. We had to call. We have no idea who was going to answer. It wasn't a personal phone. It was a home phone, a company phone. So we had to learn skills for life that they come very easily in different situations. Younger people now, normally with my son and people that I work with, I give those examples like, why you get so nervous when you have to present? It's not a client, it's just us. And you get nervous. Okay, if I go back, school time, some people, it's just people from school, no parenting, nothing. And they got nervous because they are just nervous because they have to present. Normal. But nowadays is not the situation. It's because interacting, even behind the screen, it's something that scares people because they are very used to talk to machines all the time and not get asked about anything. You're not questioned. So nowadays, I just say like, the only concern is like, spend 1 month just asking someone to do your job. The next month, you lost the ability of automatic thinking like you did the month before. It's just like if you are on vacation and you spend the entire vacation just like eating junk, not exercising, not doing just bad things for your body. Guess what is going to happen? When you go back, it's going to be very hard to lose the weight or whatever if you get sick. And because we get used to easily. And this generation, less than 30 especially, they were born already with Google, with internet. They had no idea what it is like. How would you know what's going on in China? We wouldn't. We had to go watch TV. So the news would tell us, oh, this thing happens. That's how it was. And how could people be very smart? Because they were like behind people poking. So like, let me ask you a question. If my boss, when I was 20, asked me to do something and I didn't know what to do, I would ask everybody I know, like, I'm supposed to do that. And I don't know, teach me. And they would teach me. And that's it. Today, it's just like, I'll check later. I'm going to this meeting 5 minutes before. I'm going to check what what is going to be discussed. And I give the examples because people need to understand that it's not about having the information. It's about making your brain absorb and use it by itself, just like when you learn a second language, a third. It comes when I'm Brazilian. I speak English and Spanish. When something bad happens to me, I curse in English. Why? How? My brain chose it. I don't curse in Portuguese. I just curse it, not even in Spanish, just in English. I don't know why. My primary instinct would be my mother language, but it's not. So it's just like when younger generations understand the power they have, if they use it properly, just like as second hint, as something to check, something to inspire, just like a muse. Artists have a muse to inspire to people. Use AI as your muse, but to give you instruments, to give you elements, to make your brain built, not to ask to deliver your responsibilities. And I'll give you all the instructions then what I need, and you present it to me and you like it or not. Because then you're going to be stuck in your brain and just like you're not going to evolve at all. That's a certain thing.
Yeah, Julia, honestly, I want to thank you for that because I think we get a lot of comments on the internet like, oh, with the new AI nowadays, you have to learn how to be human. You have to learn how to communicate. You have to learn how to be interactive. The human element is never going to go away. And I don't think I've seen a good example until today. So my thought when I first hearing that is that I got to make sure everybody listen to what you just say right now because that was absolutely amazing. Now, unfortunately, we are.
True.
Yeah, it's true. And you know what? Very funny story. I know we're closing it on the end, but I think you hit the nail because I hate being cold called. Every time I see a number on my phone, I panic, I throw my phone away, and I leave my phone in the other room so no one else can call me. But I think you are absolutely right about that.
It's a next try.
Yeah.
Do with someone that you like. I'm going to call you every day to talk funny. Yes, the opposite is true. Like someone just sends message, call me. Why?
Yeah.
Tim Matthew to call me in 2 seconds. You're everything that you're just message, just call me.
Yeah.
But you need to.
And I talk to my team every single day. It's just every time there's a stranger calling me on the phone, I'm just like, I don't want to deal with this right now. And by the way, everyone is listening. I am currently 29 at the time of this recording. So I think Julia is absolutely correct. But we are actually closing in on the podcast. And one last closing question that I would love to ask every guest, and I cannot let you go without this question, is just looking back at your early leadership years or even your early career, what is the one single mistake that you would refuse to actually repeat?
Doing everything by myself, thinking that being competent and being efficient is just like hugging the world and trying to do everything without delegating, not without sharing, but thinking like, oh, to be considered good, you need to be able to do everything by yourself. You know what I mean? And after 30 years, it's the opposite. The best, always the best job will be delivered when you have people, not always you have every single one doing one part, but when you have more people, the result is much better. Because first of all, you're sharing, and when you're sharing, better things happen because someone said, oh, I thought about this or that. So the perspective sometimes elevates. And then you go like, oh, yeah, my idea is very good, but with this one, it's going to be even better. And you don't have so much weight on your shoulders, because when you just feel, nobody told you need to do everything, but you feel it's your responsibility to deliver all the process by yourself without delegating. It's, nowadays, I know I can do it, everything by myself, but it's not healthy and it's not the best result. So it's just like when you learn that you can be your best and people think you are the best, I'm so sorry. And people think you are the best, you can share everyone doing what they are supposed to do. And the result is amazing because it's different minds thinking together. So it's just like, I would never go back to even thinking that I'm supposed to deliver everything by myself, or with the heavy burden that, oh my God, I am not even halfway and I have another, 4 hours to do everything. So it's something people need to understand what are their role. And of course, you can help others. It's the best way always, but you don't need to be the only one doing everything to make sure it's good. That's it.
Well, everyone, this is your guest, Julia, and this is the Agency Culture Conversations. Thank you, Julia, for being on the show.
You are very welcome.